Hello everybody, I'm Alexy Khrabrov, the founder and organizer of Scala by the Bay, the yearly conference for Scala and Scale, and here we are on location at Twitter, and I have Rajesh Muppala with me, who is the founder and director of
co-founder and director of engineering
of Indix, a company out of Chennai.
Yes.
And I met him at Pacific Northwest Scala a couple of years ago, and we're very happy to finally have him here with us. He was on a data panel. Welcome, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about Indix and what is the trajectory and how you guys are related to all these Scala technologies we're mentioning?
Yeah, so at Indix we are trying to build the Google of products. I mean, what do I mean by that is, you have Facebook and LinkedIn having an index of people and Google having an index of locations. So we want to be the index of products, all things. So we do that by crawling. So we have a crawling engine that is built using Akka cluster. That's about 3 years old, and that's when we actually started with Scala. So over a course of time, we've started using a lot of Scala technologies. We use scalding for our machine learning data pipeline, and more recently we are using Spark for our end user. A platform that allows end users to build data pipelines and get data out of our systems. So we are we started as a Java shop, but once we moved to Scala about 3 years back, and we've not gone back since.
Yeah, so I remember vividly you showed me. So you were at ThoughtWorks before, right? So you're using GoCD, and you have this amazing dashboard, all the soccer processes going, all this stuff crawling and being recognized. And so, I mean, it's a fascinating problem, right? Basically, to collect and resolve all the products in the world.
Yes.
So what does Scala platform give you? Why did you choose it?
Yeah, I think, see, the crawler itself, right? Crawler is a distributed system. And, I worked on GoCD, and, GoCD is a distributed system, and we use Java there. I didn't want to write the low-level, code of handling concurrency and all, because, it's very difficult to reason out what happens when things go bad. And with Akka, which had just, started, it felt like a, nice fit for our use case. Also, at the same time, we realized that we were writing a lot of Java MapReduce, and it was not the right kind of abstraction for writing complex data pipelines. And scalding, with its functional abstractions, provided us the right kind of tool that we were looking at. We also tried with Pig, but scalding again was the right choice for us. So I think it was, not just one reason. There were multiple reasons. These libraries and the ecosystem itself that helped us. That made us choose Scala.
Yes, and I think there is a lot of interesting challenges there. So how do you guys kind of connect data engineering with data science, right? So you do machine learning for these products. Like, what are the challenges of doing these two things together?
One challenge has been the data that we get is not structured, right? A lot of data is unstructured. So bulk of our time is spent in actually structuring this data and making it useful for data science.
Yes.
And to be frank, we made a few mistakes in hiring itself, where we went ahead and hired just data scientists, but we're looking for people who can do things end to end, build models as well as take them to production.
Who can both be the data engineers and the data scientists.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, we call these guys research engineers. And in some of the companies I work for. So this is a fascinating problem, and in San Francisco Bay Area, there is nothing hotter than data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, right? And obviously, if you can do this with data platforms which scale, right? This is the Holy Grail, right? So, and you mentioned that kind of in not everybody in your community understands this, and so if you were to explain, like, obviously we're the epicenter here, right? So how do you see kind of the evolution of, let's say, IT community in India, right? How do you see this kind of wave of machine learning, big analytics, taking a hold there, and why is this important to really pay attention to this?
Yeah, in India, I think, the startup wave is pretty good there right now. But I don't think a lot of companies are focusing on the data side of things yet. I mean, yes, it's not their core business. I mean, it's, they have apps or they have, end user applications or consumer apps, but, they use data science as a, as something that adds to their business, but it's not part of their core business. So I think, we'll start seeing a lot more data companies. I think we are one of the, earliest, and at least I don't know of any other company that deals, as much data as we deal with. So it's really hard to find people who have experience in some of the stuff that we do. I mean, we do get Hadoop engineers, but they've not worked at the scale that we work. I mean, they've gone through some courses, or
It is a tough problem, right? Like you need experience.
Yeah.
So I remember, right, when we met, you basically mentioned that you went back to Chennai, right, and you want to work in India, you want to employ Indian engineers. And I think I've seen kind of a wave with Modi government, kind of technocratic focus. I've seen a lot of young people actually, and old people and all kind of people going back to India. Right? So for instance, Pankaj Gupta was a Twitter guy, right, who did basically whom to follow recommendation system, and now he went back there. So we see a lot of execs and developers. So can you tell me a little bit, how this works? What do you see, from that other side?
Yeah, so I think so. So if you see, right, there are a few unicorns, so to say, in India. There are the Flipkarts, who are going against Amazon. You have the Ola cabs that's going against Uber. Then you have, so there are a few companies like that. And I think they're definitely having people from here in the Silicon Valley who've done these kind of things, scaling engineering teams back in India would really help is what I would think.
And a lot of, I think, the companies which hire kind of execs from these companies in the Bay Area, I think they explicitly say we need guys who have experience with big data, machine learning, right? So I think on the corporate level, they're pretty smart. They understand that they need this kind of talent infusion, right? Because the scale here, I think, is leading. We're the big data capital of the world, right? And so from here it kind of percolates through. But so I'm curious about the community. You mentioned the community is not as intense as developed, but community is the main way of learning about this technology. So what you see here is completely organic, right? People understand it because there is a demand for these technologies in the market, and this is the highest paid jobs in the industry. They basically, folks learn. So this conference is a learning vehicle, right? A lot of people coming here, they learn about these technologies, and then they can basically go to companies who need them. So I personally think this is inevitable in India as well, right? So I'm curious, how do you think this can be fostered? And if somebody helps with the community, what rewards they can reap by being early kind of community organizers in India?
Yeah, I think yes, there's definitely a need for building the community, and I think companies like Indix has to be part of it, because I think we are doing some really interesting stuff in this area. Unfortunately, we've not been able to spend as much time as we would like. But it's one of the things that we would like to do. And probably when I go back, we will start this community. The challenge is also the maturity of folks there is people are just learning about big data. They're getting their hands dirty with Hadoop. So how do we get them from mere learners to practitioners? I think that gap is what we need to bridge, is what I think. And there is and there's work to be done, and hopefully we'll do something about it.
Yes.
And there's also one more point I want to make. One, this is about the work that we're doing at Indix. So the goal for me to, the reason I'm here is to probably, because there are a lot of speakers, who are actually building the stuff that we are using. So I wanted to, talk to them. So probably, 80% I wanted to, learn from them, and probably 20% share what we are doing at Indix. But one thing I realized when I came here is that, actually, it's 50% learning and 50% sharing, in the sense that whatever stuff we build at Indix, some of the stuff you're talking about, using Go CD as a big data pipeline, is something that folks from Apple, from Stripe, they've actually said, okay, can you show this? Can you tell me more about it? I want to know more about it. I think that's a little. It was surprising, and it's also flattering. So, yeah, and yeah.
I had the same reservation, right? I thought, but basically it's kind of what really impressed me about Indix, that you guys kind of quietly and build everything everybody's talking about. And so we often have talks with people who build 1/10 of this, proudly presenting how they put two things together. You guys put like 1 million things together, and they have a dashboard, right? And it has been going at scale, right? So I think it's really interesting, right? You have something very valuable, have a proven engine, which is internet scale, which like comes and finds all the products and resolves them. And I think it's kind of the modern startup world. It's an extremely valuable thing. Like basically, this is the final result of all the fundraising and all the promises people start with, right? So it's like to me, it's
having said that, we still have a long way to go in the sense that. One of the big challenges we're dealing with is the quality of data itself, because we get data from multiple sources. So we actually, I think we figured out the problem of ingesting the data, the scaling of the pipeline. Now the problem that we're actually dealing with is actually how do we improve the quality of the data and make it more useful for our customers.
Right. And again, to me it's fascinating, right? Because essentially data science is 80-20. It's 80% data plumbing, data engineering, data wrangling, right? So once you have the efficient structure to iterate upon, then you can improve the quality because you can pump the data through it quickly.
Right. And that's the phase we are in right now.
Right. So I'm kind of interested, like, let's say, I hope a bunch of folks in India see us, and how would you describe your ideal candidate? And, there are talented young people who want to kind of take courses and learn, right? What is your ideal research engineer, and what would you suggest, to them? How can they build up the skills needed to do the job of research engineer?
No, I think one is, they should, understand basic computer science concepts. They should, they should understand algorithms. They should understand, the concept of computer science. The second thing is, they should love data.
Yes.
They should, they should, they should not be afraid of, taking their sleeves up and digging deeper into data and understanding what it is all about. And I think once they have these two things right, there is enough of, let's say, coaching and enough of mentoring that we can do in our company, or there are enough resources that are available for them to be productive.
And kind of, let's say, they're good enough and you hire them as junior research engineers. What will they learn on the job? What can you give them back? What is the advantages of being exposed to all these technologies you guys built for them? No,
I think the learning, right? You get to do what you get to do in a year, what you would get to do in another company in about 5 years, right? You're so I have this, I talk about this concept of, what is called an escape velocity, right? Once a rocket reaches an escape velocity, it's on its orbits on its own, right?
Yes.
So it's very important for you to figure out, the right company in your start of your career, so that, so that you're maximizing learning.
Yes.
And then once that happens, you're all set in your career. So I think, given the kind of stuff that we're doing, this hard problems we are solving, I think we can provide the escape velocity to developers, is what I think.
Nice. So then, my follow-up questions would be, how do you make sure that your most valuable developers not escape, right? Because if you train all these guys and then suddenly Twitter and Facebook and Google see that they use the same technologies and understand fully what they're doing, right? And they all kind of come into India, how do you retain your top talent?
I don't know. I think we are struggling on that front. I think it's very difficult for folks in my company to appreciate the kind of work we are doing, because it's a hard problem. We're trying to create a new market. On the business side, we're not having a trajectory that you would like, because it's a hard problem to solve.
Right.
So I don't know. One thing could be, if they could come here and see for themselves, the kind of impact that what I could see here, right? People are coming and talking to me about, what is, about the scale, about the data pipelines. So I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah. Cool. We don't know the future, but I think, from what I can see, I'm really kind of happy about the trajectory you guys in, right? And I think it's definitely great to have Indix in our community. It's great to finally have you at this conference. We now hope, next time you come and do a full talk, right? And kind of we collaborate on the meetups and community, and we're happy to help you guys build this community. Yeah, thanks a lot, and I think you're doing a great job with the community here, and good luck. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks.